Hey friends, when you build and manage an API in Azure API Management, you want to be prepared for any issues that may arise. API Management Diagnostics is an intelligent and interactive experience for helping you troubleshoot your API. Best of all, there's no additional configuration required. Khaled Zayed is here to show me how it works today on Azure Friday. Hey friends, I'm Scott Hanselman and it's Azure Friday. I'm here with Khaled. How are you, sir?
I'm good. It's Friday. What about you?
It's Friday, and I'm pretty excited. Not only is it Azure Friday, but it's actual Friday. And I'm going to
Yeah.
talk to you. I'm going to learn some great new things about Azure. And then I'll probably take some time off from work and go play in Azure and then figure out how whatever you're about to show me, I can apply to my own blog and my own APIs and my own applications, which is the great part of hosting Azure Friday.
Awesome. Yeah. Today I'll be showing you how you can quickly identify issues and potential solutions for them when working with API management using the new API Management Diagnostics service.
Very cool. So you're going to break something?
Yes. So let's go ahead and get to do it. So Scott, I'm not sure if you're familiar, but if you've read our API management documentation, we use some conference APIs in most of our tutorials over there. So this project just consists of some operations to get sessions, get the speakers, get topics, just to get some details about the conference. And I'm using that same project right here for my demo. However, I tweaked them a bit to break them so we can have some fun troubleshooting some issues that could potentially arise in your API management service. So let's just go ahead and put ourselves in a developer shoes and let's test out some of those operations right here. So let's try to get these sessions that are available in this conference. I'm just going to send this request. And looks like this request returned 200 OK. The results look fine. Perfect. Let's now, I'm curious actually, who's speaking at this conference. So let's also send this request in. Looks like this operation is failing. It's status code 500. Okay, let's take note of that. We cannot get the speakers in this conference. I'm also curious to get the topics, and let's just try that as well. Okay, looks like we have some issues, and two of my APIs are failing. So I'm actually not really worried because, as I mentioned, we have a new feature called API Management Diagnostics, and I'm sure it's going to help me identify the issues that are happening here and give me some solutions. So let's go to it. So in order to access the new API Management Diagnostics, you need to go to the Azure portal and go to your resource and then head to the Diagnose and Solve Problems blade. And once you're in the blade, you're presented with four major categories. The first one is availability and performance, which sounds like exactly the issue that we're just facing right now. We have an availability issue. So I'm going to click on that in just a minute. And then the other category is API policies, which is going to help you if you have any misconfigured policies with your API management service. It's going to help you figure out these misconfigurations and potential solutions for them. And then my personal favorite, which is gateway performance. This will show you if you have any latency on your gateway, any errors on the gateway itself, not from the backend. This category will help you with that. And then finally, the service upgrade category, which will show you this queue of your API management service. And for example, if you're running on a devs queue, it's going to show you if any service upgrades affected your instance. And that's why we always recommend for production environments to make sure you're running at least on a basic queue. So since we have an availability issue, I'm going to click on availability and performance. And what's happening right now is just we're fetching some logs and analyzing them to determine your overview health of your API management service. And on the top here, we're showing you three cards. The first one is for platform health, telling you the platform is 100% available, no issues at all. And then looks like we're getting some errors from the backend itself. So 1.3% of my requests failed to the backend. We're going to dig into this in just a minute. And thankfully, there are no snap port allocation issues, so we can completely dismiss that.
And briefly, if you don't mind, briefly, SNAT, that's secure network address translation?
Yes, yes.
And then what is SNAT and why do I care as an API person? As I make an API, I should care about SNAT. Why?
Yes, so for example, if your API management instance is making a lot of requests to the same backend, and if you exceed the number of allocated ports allowed to your instance, you could potentially run into snap port allocation issues. And we have some mitigations for you. Basically, if you deploy more than one unit for your API instance, that way you can connect through multiple different units and you will not run into any snap port allocations. Or for example, if your backend is hosted on Azure, you can just deploy your API management instance and the backend to the same virtual network, so they communicate via the virtual network, and you won't run into any snap port issues.
Very cool. Yeah, definitely. If you're scaling into the millions and tens of millions, which I'm sure that APIM can do, you're going to run out of 65,536 ports pretty fast, right?
Yep.
All right, cool. But that's not the problem we're having. We have a 500 error, and I'm trying to figure it out right now. I'm watching you.
Exactly.
All right.
So you have a graph right here that shows you your component availabilities. So the gateway and the portal were 100% available, no issues here. And then one graph that I really like is the successful and failed requests, which visualizes for you the gateway responses and the backend responses. So you can compare them with one another to figure out if the issue is on the gateway itself or the backend. So since we just got a 5xx error, let's actually just focus on HTTP 5xx in both graphs. And we noticed something interesting immediately. We have a lot of requests just failing on the gateway and just a few only failing on the backend. So it looks like something is wrong with my gateway, not the backend. But just out of curiosity, we see like here there were one request failed on the backend, another one request, and I guess these are two requests that failed on the backend. So let's actually just out of curiosity figure out what went wrong on the backend, and then we can dig into the gateway issue. So on the top here, there was the backend 5xx responses. Let's go ahead and click on that. As soon as we enter that view, you see immediately we show you a warning that we detected backend errors, and we give you a description of it. But the interesting part is right here. We show you basically all the requests that failed. So we only have 4 requests that failed in the past 24 hours, and all of them, the sample backend URL was for someone trying to submit a session feedback right here. And actually, just because I'm familiar with my project, there's no session with the ID 49s, and that's why it's failing, because this session does not exist. So it looks like someone was trying to give feedback to a non-existent session. That's why the backend was failing. So I would say that's just a false alarm, no issues in my backend, but looks like the main issues that we are having and the one we just experienced a couple of minutes ago are in the gateway itself.
That's interesting, because as a dev, I'm thinking to myself, okay, we returned a 500, which indicates an error on the server side because you passed in a request for a resource, 9999, that didn't exist. I might file that away and say, we'll change that to a 404 to be more restful. But to your point, when you had those two graphs, you had a bunch of 500s at the top and a bunch at the bottom. Some of them lined up where a 500 at the back end presented itself to the gateway, and the gateway was like, yeah, that's a 500, right? And that made sense. And that's what we're seeing right now?
Exactly.
Okay, cool.
So let's go ahead and explore the other category for gateway performance, since we know that something is wrong with the gateway itself. And again, what we're doing right now is fetching some logs for you. On the top, we're showing you, again, the backend 5xx responses, so you compare them to the gateway. But I'm more interested in the gateway 5xx, so we can see the issues that we're facing right now. And we show you a graph with all the details, but I'm actually more interested in what's below. So again, we show you a critical insight right here telling you gateway errors detected. And what's really cool is if you scroll down, we show you again a table right here with the error responses that happened. So basically we tell you the response code, the backend response code, the error source, the error reason, as well as the message, how many requests failed with that, and the sample backend URL. And if you look at the error reason right here, so for example, this one is telling you it failed due to expression value evaluation failure. On the top here, we show you some reasons that why it could have failed, and you can try to find a reason find a mitigation for it. So let's see here. Our first one here was a set header that failed, and it looks like there is a variable that was not set properly, and I would assume it's in one of my policies. But let's dig into it in just a second. The second one here is saying, again, there's a forward request that also was the error source, and it was due to backend connection failure. And if we read here, it says the remote name could not be resolved. Let me actually zoom in a bit. The remote name could not be resolved. Conference API.azurewebsites.net. And the sample backend URL was for the topic. So if you recall, we were trying to get the topic. So it looks like this is the get topics operation that we were trying to do, and that's why it failed. Do you notice anything off in this URL spot? I'm not sure. What?
2 S's in Azure Web Sites.
Ooh, that's true. True. Yeah, I remember I was actually trying to, the other day I was trying to edit the backend service. Let me actually go to my policies then. So it looks like I misconfigured my policy. Let me go back to I have in another tab right here, I have my APIs open, and I'm in the conference APIs. If I go to my get topics, and let's go to the policies that I have, and here I have a set backend service. If I click on it, it looks like here I actually mistyped this. So if I just fix this and click on save, let me get back to Postman and test this again, the get topics one. So the last time we tried it, it failed. Let's test it again.
Wow,
Perfect.
that updated really fast.
Yeah. So we were able to successfully figure out that from the diagnostics that it was just a DNS resolution failure because I mistyped my URL, and we fixed it, and now the API is back to working. Perfect. So 1 out of 2 is fixed. Now we need to go fix the other one. So let's get back to our diagnostics. And let's pretend I'm not really certain what this means. Like it says right here, set header. Let me actually zoom out a bit. It says right here, set header is the error source. And I'm not really familiar what set header is. Let me actually copy this and continue scrolling down. There's an interesting part at the very end of this diagnostic. It says right here, didn't find a solution, give us more details and we'll recommend docs. So let me just paste this set header right here, because I'm not really aware what this means. And as soon as I got the results, this is basically doing cognitive search to try and get you relevant results to your issues that you could be facing with your API management instance. And these are all relevant to the set header error that you're seeing. And looks like, again, it's telling me, if I open this doc, it's talking about policy. So looks like, again, I have some misconfigured policy. So let me, just to explore a different diagnostic that we have available, I'm going to close this and go to the API policies detector that we have. I'm going to click on Troubleshoot. And again, as soon as we enter that diagnostic, it shows me a warning on the top, tells me there are some proxy errors detected. It shows me the top exceptions that were found. So we have a key not found exception as well as a null reference exception. One happened 34 times and the other 13 times. And the top scope was the set header, the same scope we saw in the other the diagnostic. And if you continue scrolling down, again, we show you the top 100 proxy policy errors. And we can see immediately here that the get speakers operation, the one that we were just trying to use, was failing, and the source was the set header, and it looks like it was a null reference exception right here. So let's actually go check the policy for set header for this operation. So I'm going to go to the other tab, go to the get speakers operation. I have here a policy to set the header. Let me look at it. Oof, looks like someone was messing with me and actually put just a non-existing variable right here, and that's why this was failing. Okay, let me actually instead replace it. I believe my intention was to pass in the request header. I wanted to pass the product name right here, so I'm just going to remove that completely. Pass instead the product name. I'll save that. And let's go back to Postman to try the get speakers operation. Perfect.
Oh, I'm really impressed at how fast that updates itself. Like I would expect you'd click save and wait 5 minutes, but it's working immediately.
No, it's pretty instant, and looks like this is going to be an interesting conference. We have some pretty good speakers here. Yeah. So yeah, we managed to fix the 2 issues that we had with our API management service pretty quickly, leveraging the new API Management Diagnostics. And one of the best things about API Management Diagnostics is that it is free. You don't need to do any configuration. It's built in and no extra configuration necessary. So you can go ahead and start leveraging it immediately. So just to recap what we just discussed, API Management Diagnostics is a built-in self-service feature that we have available for you that helps you troubleshoot and solve issues that you could run into. It gives you quick and easy insights on the issues that happened, as well as some recommendations on how you can fix these issues. And there's no extra configuration necessary. It works out of the box, and it's available for you to use right now. You can learn more about it by going to aka.ms/APIM-diagnostics. And please, if you have any feedback, reach out to our team at diagnostics@microsoft.com. We're always happy to hear from our customers so that we can improve our diagnostics.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
Thank you, Scott. It was really fun.
All right, I am learning all about how to troubleshoot API management issues with the new API Management Diagnose and Solve experience. You have this now. I'm learning all about how to use it today on Azure Friday. Hey, thanks for watching this episode of Azure Friday. Now I need you to like it, comment on it, tell your friends, retweet it. Watch more Azure Friday.